got very good arms.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and today we're going to continue talking about some of the issues with Disney and Disney theme parks as the coronavirus pandemic continues on. And today, joining me for the first time on the channel is a YouTuber on his own right. He's got I Love Comics, a huge comic book channel. He's also got a Disney channel called Mad About the Mouse. Anglantine, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I changed it to Homegrown Tourist after I found out Mad About the Mouse is copywritten. So, yeah, it's called the Homegrown Tourist. Hey, you know, I got it off of a CD. I should have known it was the title of a CD. I didn't know it was also the title of, you know, everything else. So, whoops. But, yeah, I'm very interested in this Bob Iger stuff because I'm really not a fan of Bob Chapek. Chapek is what I call him.
So, yeah, a few months ago, Bob Iger kind of stepped down abruptly as the CEO of Disney. He'd been in the position for 15 years, and there was a lot of speculation, you know, what was kind of driving this. There were a lot of actual CEOs in the corporate world that were stepping down, and a lot of people have attributed that to the coronavirus pandemic that's going on. He did address this recently in an email to the New York Times, where he said, no surprises, nothing hidden, nothing different or odd to speculate about. A crisis of this magnitude and its impact on Disney would necessarily result in my actively helping Bob Chapek and the company contend with it, particularly as I ran the company for 15 years. So he's saying he did not step aside because of the pandemic, but he is sticking around to help out because he did run the company for 15 years. But it sounds like maybe he's actually running it again. Bob Chapek appears to be the CEO in name only, whereas Bob Iger is actually kind of running the company during the crisis.
From what I understand and what I got from the articles, I've read a couple of them. You gave me a New York Times. Thank you for that because I'm not getting a subscription. But from what it looks like is they were like, hold on, wait a second. Now is not the time for this, for the change. You know, they're looking for a scapegoat right now also. For it's kind of like, you know, hey, this virus happened, now who can we blame for it? And it looks like the stability that Bob Iger had at the job, that's what they want. So they're bringing him back in, and just it's kind of like to calm the troops a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like he's kind of running the board meetings, and he's kind of he's setting the tone for the company and how they're going to, you know, get through this. You know, recently they did furlough a lot of staff employees. I know Bob Iger has basically turned down his $3 million annual salary. Bob Chapek's annual salary has been cut in half, down from $2.5 million down to $1.25 million. And I think all the other executives have also been cut in half as well as far as their salaries go. So they're taking some drastic measures, but I believe the estimates are right now that Disney is losing somewhere in the vicinity of $30 million a day.
That would make sense. I mean, if you think about how many people go, how many, and it's kind of hard to describe to someone who's not here, definitely not here all the time. I live here. I go there every day at some point, just driving through. It is a city almost. I mean, you've got the 4 theme parks. You've got 20 something hotels. You've got the shopping center. You've got McDonald's. They've got their own fire department. They've got all of this stuff going on. Now nothing. I know each park could hold nearly 1 million people. It's just huge freaking crowds all the time, and now nothing. And it's not just here. It's in. It was in Shanghai for a while. It was in Hong Kong. It was in Paris. You know, they shut down the whole operation. They're bleeding. If they're only bleeding $30 million a day, it seems, you know, somebody's doing something right.
Yeah, they're pretty lucky because, you know, you just think about the lease obligations for all those properties that they're paying on. But then you think about the port fees for all their cruise ships that aren't out making money with their full of people right now. They're just sitting in port. You have to pay fees for that. And then you have, you know, staff and people that they haven't furloughed yet that they're considering essential personnel. And it's a crisis unlike anything really entertainment in Hollywood have really ever seen, or maybe all the economy. I don't remember the whole world's economy basically shutting down quite like this. Disney is absolutely taking it the hardest. So it does make sense that Bob Iger would kind of come back to the forefront and kind of lead the ship during this crisis, since he was in the position for 15 years. But what do you think it kind of spells for Bob Chapek moving forward? Does this mean that maybe do you think this signals that they have less faith in his ability to do the job, or do you think he just wasn't prepared?
Well, as much as I don't like the man, he's been in charge of the rides for the last I'm about decade anyway. He's been around for a while, and as someone who goes all the time, you can actually see things are not getting fixed. It used to be, that's broken, go get it. That's broken, go get it. That's they're always dead on, and they're like top notch. I've always held Disney is a top notch company. It's always guest service. It's always safety first. And recently we had a boat sink on Jungle Cruise. People Mover caught on fire. It's just things have been breaking down. So I'm not a big fan of Bob Chapek. Thing is I think he was ready to step up into a normal running company. But this isn't a normal running company. This is a company in crisis. So why not get the guy who has been doing this? I don't think they're doing this because they don't have any faith in Bob Chapek. I mean, obviously they wouldn't have put him up there if they didn't have faith in him. As misplaced as I believe it is, I only see certain aspects of it, but I think it's more of a kind of like Marlon Brando watching over Al Pacino as he's getting into the Godfather role in the movie. Of course, he's the head of the family, but you're gonna keep, a veto on just to because he's the one who's done it for years. Yeah,
he's definitely keeping a watchful eye. One thing I thought was interesting was Bob Chapek. If you weren't really into Disney theme parks and rides, wasn't really a name you really heard as just a casual Disney fan, maybe of the movies. The cruise lines, things of that nature. It would seem like he wasn't maybe prepared or groomed properly, because I know, I am a sports fan. I remember for years before David Stern stepped down as the commissioner of the NBA, you would always see Adam Silver doing commissioner-like duties. Maybe he would be at a press conference that you would expect the commissioner to be at, or he would be announcing, draft picks and things like that. Mm-hmm. So his face was kind of always out there. So you knew he was the next guy in line. But it seems like maybe they hadn't prepared Chapek fully for this, or maybe there's an issue with mentorship. Maybe Bob Iger hadn't had him out there in the front lines to kind of, maybe have some training wheels, and prepare for a job like this.
If it was just day to day, if we were going on, there may be a hiccup or two here, but nobody was prepared for this except for maybe the CDC. It's like, what are you going to say? We have a pandemic that, I don't want to get too political, but you've got right now a president who's listening to the doctors who are changing everything almost on a daily or weekly basis. Oh no, now it means this and now it means that. And you've got Disney doing the same thing. Nobody could have been prepared for the Wuhan or coronavirus or whatever you want to edit for that. But nobody could have prepared themselves for this. So I don't know if it's a matter of him not being trained for it or not being prepared for the virus part of it, but I think he would have been at least understanding of the job. I don't know if he would have done a good job, but there's no way to prepare other than for your normal day-to-day things. There's nowhere to prepare for the virus.
So as a Disney enthusiast, someone that has a season pass and has a YouTube channel dedicated to all things Disney, specifically the parks, do you feel better about this? Do you think that that the company is in better hands? What is your outlook? Do you think all these parks are actually going to come online? Exactly, because I know there's speculation it's going to take upwards of 2 years before their capacity gets filled again.
Well, that depends on you. In all honesty, it depends on me and the people around. How safe do you feel going to the parks? It's going to be a huge crowd, obviously. My guess on all of this now, and by the way, I'm just talking right now from the public, not from what I think the company itself is going to do. I have a feeling that everyone like myself with an annual pass, as soon as they drop it, and as soon as it opens, we are there. Let's go. Woohoo. We haven't seen Mickey in too long. It's going to be like that. I think we're going to go nuts down here at least. after staying in. But it's a lot easier for us to do that than somebody who has to save up vacation money and all that kind of stuff. Some people have Disney offered people that they'll take their packages and they'll move it to another date. Of course, that date kept getting pushed back. So I do believe that it will take some time. I don't know if it'll take 2 years. It could, but it depends on the confidence people have and the safety and their willingness and ability to spend money on a Disney vacation. A lot of people are going to be in recovery. As far as the company is concerned, they do it every day. They turn it on, go. Some of the rides and such have still been going on. They did send home construction, but there are still there's still stuff going on out there. The people at Animal Kingdom are still taking care of the animals. The groundskeeping is still taking care of that. There are even artists. The sun down here fades paint away pretty quickly, so you still have your scenic artists doing their job. So the park upkeep is still there. They just need to turn it on. And hopefully people go.
Well, there's definitely just waiting for the word, but I think we're all waiting. It's so crazy how uncertain everything is, because every day you hear something new, but the only thing we do know is that we don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody's got their theories, and this person saying this and this person saying, but when even what's his name, Dr. Felucci, even when he seems to be changing his story every other day, and that's the guy that Donald Trump's listening to most, how are we to predict?
I will say, just from my point of view, I would say it's probably a good move to make Bob Iger the focal point of the company and let him steer them through this very unprecedented times. He had been the CEO for 15 years. He did a lot of their acquisition. He blew up the company and made them bigger than they ever had been in their entire life. Now they have taken an enormous financial haircut. I believe they've lost something like $42 billion in market cap, which is insanity. But when you think about their business structure and all the things that they provide, everything's a liability right now. I think he is absolutely the person that probably should be in charge. I think they probably wish that they hadn't announced the change at that point.
Yeah.
But it is probably a smart move to go back and say, you know what, we made the change, but these are unprecedented times, and we're gonna let Bob steer the ship until we get through this.
Yeah, I do think so as well. I think you're dead on that one. One of the things, and I don't know if you were planning on touching upon this, but they're looking for a scapegoat. They were trying to, and they were wondering, now there's conspiracy theories about, did Bob Iger know? Of course not. Of course not. The fact that he's writing a book, it was like, what is it? One Great Ride or something like that. Everything about him leaving was that it's going to be a positive switch, and everything's going to be fine. And, there's no indications that anybody thought anything was going to be falling apart. I absolutely think you're right about the fact that, it's good to have Bob Iger there because, he's the daddy of Disney for the last 15 years. And like you said, things got better. Like him or hate him, things got better for Disney financially over the last decade or so that he's been in.
Well, he certainly has been a more than competent CEO, and I believe he's been referred to as the nicest CEO in the world, by some publications.
Better than Michael Eisner. That's the dude I worked there under. A douchebag.
And he's better than Michael Eisner, according to Anglin, our Disney expert on the channel here today. I do appreciate you come on here and talk about all the issues going on with Disney and Bob Iger kind of stepping up to the plate, taking over some controls of the company and getting them through this hard time. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, as far as the Bob Iger thing, I mean, I think we pretty much covered it, at least as much as we can. We'll get more story, I'm sure, if something comes up or you find out there was something into it. But I just think they're doing something right here. And maybe Bob Iger can hold Bob Chapek's hands a little bit more and hopefully convince them to actually, it's okay to fix rides. It's okay and by that I say he's the guy who tells them to have the budget, and it's okay to spend money to make this the most awesome place on the planet. And that's what it freaking should be, considering how much money some people put into their vacations.
I know plenty of families that once a year they take a week's vacation, and that is all that they afford to take, because a vacation to Disney World or Disneyland is no joke. Whether you're in Orlando, whether you're in California, whether you're in Japan, Hong Kong, Paris, they those are premier destinations as far as accommodations and entertainment, and hopefully they'll be open again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.